The lantern shook in Samuel Carson's hands as he peered into the dark corners of his barn. What he saw made his breath catch. 3 children, skinny, dirt-streaked and trembling, curled together in the hay like frightened animals. The oldest girl lifted her head, eyes fierce despite her exhaustion. "Please, mister," she whispered, "we ain't stealing nothing. Just needed somewhere warm." In that single moment, Samuel's world shifted. A widowed cowboy who had buried his own wife and children in cold winter ground now stood face to face with 3 young souls who had nowhere else to turn. He could have turned them away. Many men would have. But what followed was a story of trust, danger, and the kind of courage that can only come when everything else has been stripped away. What would you do if your barn became a sanctuary, and the lives of 3 orphans suddenly depended on your choices? Before we step deeper into Samuel's story, take a second to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with friends who love powerful Wild West tales. Every click helps bring more stories like this one to life. And trust me, you won't want to miss what happens when Samuel realizes those children carry secrets that could cost them everything. The night was heavy with rain, the kind that rattled the roof and turned the dirt yard into a swamp of mud. Samuel Carson, a man who hadn't smiled in years, pushed open the barn door with a weary hand. He only meant to check the stalls, maybe calm the wind's restless howl. But instead, he froze. 3 small figures huddled in the hay, thin, pale, their clothes torn and feet blistered raw. The lantern in Samuel's grip trembled as its glow fell over them. For a second, he thought his mind was playing tricks. Children didn't just appear out of nowhere, not in a storm like this. The eldest, a girl no older than 12, jolted awake. Her arms wrapped protectively around the 2 younger boys beside her. Eyes wide, voice cracked, she whispered, "Please, mister. We ain't stealing nothing. Just needed somewhere warm." Samuel's throat tightened. He had buried his own wife and children 3 winters ago, the fever stealing them one by one. This barn had been silent ever since, until tonight. And now 3 orphans stared back at him, desperate and trembling, waiting for his answer. The storm outside grew louder, wind rattling the boards like angry fists. Samuel set the lantern on a beam and crouched low. His voice came rougher than he intended. "How long you been here?" The girl lifted her chin, proud even through exhaustion. 2 days, maybe 3. These are my brothers, Tommy and little Ben." Her arms tightened around the smallest boy. "Pa ain't coming back." Samuel studied their hollow faces, the dirt and dried tears. Then he noticed something glinting in her pocket. A pistol, small and likely empty, but held with the courage of someone with nothing left to lose. He swallowed hard. "You hungry?" The mask of defiance cracked. "We ain't eaten since yesterday morning." That was all it took. Samuel nodded toward the house. "Come on then. Storm's getting worse." In the kitchen, cold, unused, still echoing with memories, he lit the stove. Salt pork, beans, bread. As the smell filled the air, the children edged closer to the table. Bit by bit, their story spilled out. Raiders, fire, a homestead turned to ashes, and then the words that shook him most. "Pa always said, if trouble came, find Samuel Carson. Said you were the only honest man left." The children ate with the desperation of survivors, every bite a reminder of what they'd lost. Samuel sat across the table, silent, haunted by their words. Patrick Walsh, he'd known the man, shared whiskey with him one brutal winter, helped him stake his land. A good man. And now his children sat in Samuel's kitchen, carrying scars too deep for their years. Mary Catherine's voice broke the quiet. "We can work. I can cook. Clean. Tommy's good with animals. We ain't charity." Her eyes searched Samuel's, daring him to refuse. Before he could answer, the low thunder of hooves rolled across the yard. Samuel stiffened. 3 riders, dark silhouettes against lightning's flash. His blood chilled as he recognized the lead horse. Sheriff Morrison. The knock came sharp, hard, official. Samuel Carson, the sheriff's voice boomed. Open up. Got questions for you. Samuel glanced at the children. Fear painted their faces white. Mary Catherine clutched little Ben, her knuckles pale. He lowered his voice, urgent. Get in the root cellar. Now. Quiet. Their small feet scrambled across the floor as the pounding at the door grew louder. Samuel checked his rifle, heart pounding. He knew this wasn't a friendly visit. The storm beat down on the roof as Samuel stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand. Morrison sat tall in the saddle, flanked by 2 deputies, rain dripping from their hats. These weren't men on lawful business. Their eyes were too cold, too sure. Word is 3 Walsh children passed through here, Morrison drawled. Might have seen something they shouldn't have. Samuel's jaw tightened. Don't know any Walsh children. The sheriff's smile twisted, all teeth and menace. Funny. Folks say those kids were looking for you. Seems their daddy filled their heads with stories about Samuel Carson, the noble cowboy. His hand drifted to his gun. Now, last chance. You seen them? Inside the house, the floor creaked. Then, soft, but clear, a cough. Little Ben. Morrison's eyes lit up like a predator catching scent. Move aside, Carson. Before Samuel could answer, the cellar door scraped open. Mary Catherine stepped into the lamplight, trembling pistol in her hands. Her voice wavered, but her aim did not. Don't you touch him. I know what you did. I saw your face the night my pa was killed. The air snapped taut. 1 second of silence. Then thunder, lightning, and gunfire. The shot rang out, echoing across the ranch. But it wasn't Morrison's gun. From the barn loft, young Tommy lowered his father's hunting rifle, smoke curling from the barrel. Morrison cried out, clutching his shoulder, his weapon spinning into the mud. The deputies' horses reared in panic. Samuel raised his rifle, steady as stone. Your boss just confessed to murder. You really want to die for his crimes? One deputy bolted into the storm. The other hesitated, then turned and followed, leaving Morrison bleeding on the porch. 3 days later, Samuel's house was alive again. Mary Catherine taught her brothers how to set a table properly. Tommy cleaned his father's rifle with quiet reverence. Little Ben tugged at Samuel's sleeve and whispered, Mary says we can stay, if you want us to. Samuel looked at their faces, scarred but full of hope. The silence that had haunted his home for years was gone, replaced by laughter, footsteps, and second chances. Sometimes salvation didn't come from heaven above. Sometimes it arrived in the form of 3 children sleeping in your barn, needing someone to open the door. Outro, approximate 70 words. And that's the story of Samuel Carson and the Walsh orphans, a tale of loss, courage, and a cowboy's heart learning to love again. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with friends who love Wild West stories. More heartwarming tales are on the way, and trust me, you won't want to miss the next one.